This is Ricky Regalado, CEO and founder of Rozalado Services. Welcome to Cleaning and Cocktails.
Hi, I'm Mark Battista. I'm president of CityWide Building Maintenance. We're a 37-year-old company located in Itasca, Illinois. We clean about 15 million square feet a night, and we are a total facility solution provider.
My name is Juan, and I'm the owner of Spotless in Chicago. So we have a little bit over 170 employees currently. And I think the biggest thing that we love about the company is the technology that we use that allows us to stay in communication with everyone.
Hello everyone, my name is Saul Marchan. I'm the founder and CEO of Blue Commercial Cleaning here in Chicago. Our goal is basically to find solutions for every client, and our mission is to really truly enhance the image of every facility we touch. Thanks guys, enjoy the show.
Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. I know how busy we are. Being business owners, the time doesn't stop, right? We work 24/7. But what I wanted to do is bring us together. We're all friends, we're all colleagues, we're all in the same line of business. I wanted to really just, talk shop on the industry. So first question I want to talk on, because there's always a topic ongoing as you go from 50 employees to 100 to 200, is how do you guys, and I'll start with you, is how do you start an employee? How does the onboarding look like for a new employee for you?
Well, for us, we're on the younger side of the company, so we're still almost kind of reinventing it every year, just because you have to adapt and depending on what you're going to do every year, right? Because sometimes the business model changes and so forth. So for us, it's more getting to know you first, right? Do you fit the culture? Because then we can train for the skill. So for us, it's more that the interview process isn't so corporate anymore. It's just more, talk to me about yourself. Let me get to know you a little bit, right? And so the interview process also consists of making sure our teammates get to know the person as well. So we bring people to understand who that individual is and can they be a part of that culture moving forward. And then you can start with the whole onboarding and so forth, the training, and obviously getting them into the team. So for us, it's really getting to that person right away.
Okay. Mark,
Part of the onboarding that has become such a crucial part of starting up new employees for us has been really introducing the employee to what it is exactly that they're going to be doing, because everybody wants to work in a Class A office building. Everybody wants to work in a clean environment. Well, we do some accounts where, you got to kick the drum before you clean around it to watch the rats run out at night. They're as big as dogs in the city, So we want to get people on the same page, and we want them to know exactly what the job is going to entail. We also do schools, so we want to make sure that we have the right type of person that we're putting into the account. We want them to know that they're going to be around kids, they're going to be around parents, and image is everything today. It takes years to build a reputation and a split second to have that reputation go bad. So we really fit the person to the job.
Okay. Juan, what about you?
So what we found is in the first 30 days, we tend to have a little bit more turnover. So to reduce that, what we've done is by design, we've made our interview process a lot longer, and we kind of introduce them, through videos and some examples of what it is they're going to be doing. We make them take an exam, and really we kind of create these little hurdles to see how much buy-in they really have. Are they really interested? Are they really willing to jump through those hurdles? And usually, sometimes we have people say, this is wrong, I'm out. It was nice knowing you. But, at least we get that buy-in. And then once we do hire them, then we have a full day of training. And then we teach them introduce them to the technology, what their pay dates are going to be, because they always have questions. That's really, to them, that's probably the most important thing, right? And we kind of forget about that.
Yeah, sure.
So like, when are you going to get paid? What are the expectations? And then from there, we start the, field training, if you will. So.
Okay. So to touch back on that, actually, videos, right? You brought that up. I know I've talked to you about that a little bit. You guys probably all see the old school videos that are out there, right? The black and white. They're just you're just call them old school, right? Because it's just not modernized. It's not too.
What kind of video? Training videos.
Training videos.
Training
Right?
videos.
So
Okay.
it's tough for us because we're not a manufacturing type of company, right? Where it's step 1, step 2, step 3. This is what your day is going to look like. That's just not us. Have you guys seen? So you said yes. You're doing videos. Saul, Mark, are you guys implementing videos in the onboarding?
Yeah, so for us, again, as the business model changes and, the route you want to take as far as the type of
Did you say
services. The route you want, yeah, exactly, right? Yep. That's a plug, right? But so for us, it's the videos. We're learning a lot now. You guys understand we're in a blue collar world, right? Blue collar industry. So a lot of these guys, it's all about vision. You can only do so many bullet points, so many PowerPoint presentations. They won't get it. So for us, it's like enough of the stock photos, enough of the stock videos. Let's get our actual people out there telling the story of what we do. And not so much about what we do but about what we're about, right? And what the culture is and what the need is. What solutions are we bringing to the table? So for us, that's why we always mention ourselves as technicians. We don't call ourselves janitors or cleaners, period. Because we are craft. We clean with a craft. Yeah. And so that's the kind of change that needs to be implemented out there. So how do you do that? Videos. Let's start showing them. As a matter of fact, right now we're redoing, all of our techniques and retraining because we're really focusing and honing in on that. Because, and we all go through mistakes, right? We get the complaints, right? We get the issues, but how do we mitigate that? Yeah. Well, we minimize it where the QC isn't so astounding, right? When you're checking in every day or every other day, and especially you guys, obviously much bigger. You guys, I'm sure, have process systems in place to ensure that you guys keep that to a low number. So that's what we want to do. We want to be more proactive and reactive.
Yeah. Mark, what about, so to give some backdrop too, right? I mean, we've got many different levels and stages of companies here, which is why I did this for a reason. Is it's there's a lot of a smaller SMB market of the industry. For you guys to know too, some numbers or statistics. I mean, 90% of the industry works at $1 million in revenue and under. But it's not that they can't get there. It's we got to put processes from day one. So that's why onboarding of employees is such a big deal, right? So, Mark, are you doing videos?
So change is inevitable, but change is hard, right? We're a 37-year-old company, and my father is the CEO and founder, and to try and change an Italian man's ways is it's tough, man. So we're not using video yet. We're still doing a lot of just not so much stock photos, but a lot of bullet points.
Sure. Yeah.
But I really feel like the hands-on onboarding is the way to go. The days of you're right. The days of showing people these bullet points and things like that are kind of like the days of yesterday's. Yeah. We need more interaction. And it's people over profit, right? Yeah. So if you're investing in your people and you're getting your people to show up to work today, it's half the battle. I mean, great, you're hired, and then they show up. You're like, all right, well, I guess I'm cleaning tonight. I don't have anything going on, but So getting them to show up, getting their buy-in, getting them excited about coming to work for you. That's really what we want to build.
How do we? Because I think it's super important, the hands-on training aspect, where a client should appreciate if we are dedicating so much time to training a team member, so thoroughly and so hands-on. What are some ideas you guys think of or have ever thought of? How do we message that to a client? The initial cleaning line item is not going to cover hands-on training. Like how it's going to be, time will tell how clients will pay a higher price because we know it's inevitable. It's going to go up. Minimum wage is going up. But what are some ideas you guys think of as far as how we can message to clients to allow us to spend more time in the beginning? Because that's when we lose contracts. That first 30 days, they go back to the other cleaning company, or they just say, this is not what we wanted. This is I'm paying too much for what you guys are producing for.
To be honest, I guess I don't want to say that that's never happened to us, but we usually do have a contract. We're also usually working with larger accounts, so the startup expenses and is pretty big, and so with that said, is they understand we have a 21-day startup process, and then even at that, if I don't know that there's really a perfect way to mitigate that, but just really having good tight processes around what that account startup is going to look like, and setting those expectations with the client is really important. So the reality is they have to know that when you come in the next day, everything's not going to be spotless. It's going to take time, right? Because the other thing is you can't train your staff on the everyday cleaning, the service checklist, the weekly items, the daily items, the monthly items, if you're trying to do everything in the first 2-3 days, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
It's
one, you're
over.
gonna scare the employees and they're gonna run.
They're gonna quit.
You know, so you have to let them know that this is gonna take 21 days. And to be honest, there's some accounts that are in such bad shape. I tell them up front, like, this is gonna take 2-3 months to get this back up to speed.
Yeah.
You know, so they know that.
Yeah.
So
One thing I think that's beneficial is if you know you're going to get an account and you're 30 days out, if you are looking or recruiting for these people, if you have a pilot account or a test account that you can assign your best lead to, right, or training manager, and the training is built within your customer's building. So, I mean, you got a really nice office. I got maroon walls. You know what I mean? I haven't
got
seen
blue
your guys'
walls.
office.
We got blue
you know what I mean?
walls.
But there's always one or two accounts or a handful of accounts that we all have that are like, they're solid, man, right? So if you could take your new recruit or your new cleaning technician and put them with the best people who serve in that account as your training manager in your training account, that's how you start them up. But you're going to pay them for 22 days before they start the new account.
Yeah.
That's just
It's a
investment.
commitment.
So if you could build that maybe into the cost of your training, might be worth it.
Okay.
I think for the way I look at it is that, I think you guys are all on the same page here, is that this industry needs a change. And what I mean by that is everybody's cutthroating, and that's the problem, is that when people are going in there just based on numbers, clients are automatically educated and trained to say, well, you know what, you only have 2 weeks, you only have a week. In their mind, they're not telling you this, but in my mind, they already know, like, if you ain't got it, then you ain't got it.
How do you guys train your salespeople, or how do you get people ready to help you scale your business and bid and quote for you?
It's a craft, man. You know what? Because there isn't really a set pricing out there, right? So when we talk to a lot of clients, it's like, well, you need to be at $20, $25, or $30 an hour. And I always ask, well, how'd you get that number? Well, that's kind of what we've been charged here before, right?
So the other guy did.
Right, the other guy did it this way. So I need you to stay in this budget. I said, well, no, that's not the point, right? The point is to basically see exactly what you're looking for. So for us, it's almost like an algorithm that you can create within your business, knowing the square footage, knowing the space, exactly what the techniques you're going to utilize, or the type of supplies, equipment, and so forth. It's almost to a point where it's a science, right? You have your own science, you have your own science, I have my own science, you have your own science. But what dictates that price, again, goes back to how are you educating that client, right? Exactly what are you bringing to the table? We all sometimes fall into the trap because you want to get that big account, and sometimes you want to get a little aggressive with the pricing. Last thing we want to do is put pressure on our people. I think you mentioned this before, is that you don't want to go in there and say, oh man, you know what, I got to start you off at this wage, right? It's all about fair wage out there. Blue collar work is really a skilled labor, the way we look at it. As long as you're training them right and really portraying them as a technician, almost like a partner consultant out there, because you're not just cleaning.
Yeah, account manager.
Exactly.
Right?
So, at the end of the day, that's exactly kind of how we do things now. Is you have to explain to them first and then show that value, because otherwise, if you don't, then you really are a cleaner. There you go with the $20 an hour.
Yeah. Marketer.
So there's
Man,
different.
you look serious right now. You look like you got a whole game. Okay.
Get it, Mark.
So, first of all, you got to know your verticals. What you're cleaning in commercial, what you're cleaning in schools, what you're cleaning in medical. You're going to train differently for all those, right? How do you train them? Hands up. Let them go clean.
Yeah.
You want to know how long it takes to clean a bathroom that's 3 urinals, 3 sinks, and 3 stalls? Go clean it, and you'll never ask me again.
You'll never ask me. And you'll bid it right.
And you'll bid it right, because you'll know if you don't, you're going to put someone else in a bad spot. And that's the difference between trying to get an account at a low price and knowing what it actually takes.
That's a good point.
I don't know that I can add anything else to that. I mean, honestly, it really is. It's complicated, but it really is that simple, right? There's set standards. There's ISSA standards. There's BSCI. There's APA. But then there's the reality, right? And so not only that, but then your training has to correlate with what your production rates are. And that's part of the reason why, going back to the earlier question, why we have video training, right? It's not because the video training is the holy grail, but it's because in that video training we have everything relatively standardized, right? So approximately how much time it should take for this, how much time it should take for that, these exact items that you're supposed to do in every area, what's traditionally in the scope, what's traditionally not in the scope. So that's kind of what that covers, so that at least my head trainer, supervisors, and floaters, all the way down to our technicians, are doing the same thing, right? So we're all speaking the same language, right? So that, if we're bidding one way, it's getting performed one way, right? Because if we're bidding, with certain level expectations, and then we're cleaning differently, it's never going to match up, right? So for us, it's really standardization.
Okay.
So, to piggyback on that, math is not an opinion, it's a fact, right?
Yeah.
So if we're building, and I know that we've built models to bid these accounts, right? But then you get into the account and you have the guy who was giving you the tour, who you don't know is 20 days out from being let go from the company, and he's like, yeah, you do this, you do this, you do that, and then all of a sudden you're 10 days in and scope creep comes up, and the salesperson looks at you like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, we just had this happen to us, and it's a reality. Scope creep in our industry is like, oh yeah, by the way, can you put the dishes away in the dishwasher? Oh, I don't live here. Put the dishes away. Or it's going to take me 20 minutes a day. Well, 20 minutes a day times 260 days a year times, whatever your rate is, it all ties back to math somehow.
And so, going back to that, and that's why, like here we're talking about technology, right? And going back to scope of work, training, all those things. So, one of the reasons why we love using Route is because we take pictures of all the areas, and then we create that scope of work, and we put all those pictures of those areas in there. And in our scope of work, anything that, the person that's giving us the tours mentions, that's not included, don't worry about that, don't worry about this.
You got something reference.
We mark it down as not included, not included, not included. Or it gets taken care of in-house, or whatever it may be, so that when the next person comes around, it's very clear that that wasn't included, right?
Yeah.
We have an account that we just started. It's a pretty large one. It's got like probably 30 different areas, and
This is one that you sent us the FaceTime shot?
No, it's a different one.
Okay.
But just today they're like, oh, by the way, that big admin office building, that actually is included. I forgot to show it to you guys. Can you figure it out? Like, no, it's like we're gonna have to price it out.
It's only 60,000 square feet. Just take care of it.
So, but again, like it's not in our scope of work. It's not in our pictures.
Sure.
So he knows that he didn't show it to us. So we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
But
Protected.
if we were not detailed in that original
Sure.
walkthrough, then we would be in deep.
Yeah, and that's why we got to stress enough to anybody who's up and coming, or everybody's in the business, or even because really anybody could be a salesperson for a cleaning company or a maintenance company like ours, right? But you nailed it, Mark, too, right? Where you got to do the cleaning. You gotta learn it. You gotta understand, because you are gonna put your people, you're gonna set them up for failure if you underbid, right? And the walkthrough part, that's where, like you said, you capture every detail. So you talk about every expectation, because what I hear people, whenever I'm in a cattle call, I stopped going to those a while ago. But when you're in a cattle call, or when you're in another, walkthrough with somebody else, the first thing they say is, "Let me see the scope." I feel like that's the wrong thing to do, because now what is that scope could be 10 years old.
Correct.
I'm running into this right now where this guy keeps reverting back to the scope, and I'm like, I didn't price the scope. I priced the facility today, 8 years later, with 120 new employees,
Right.
with a lot more foot. Like it's,
Right.
if you price the scope, you are losing right there. So that's a training tip, right? Is don't ask for the scope. Build your own scope.
And it's funny because, I tell our guys is that, let's go. Because it's our job to educate, right? You're not just going to say, hey, listen, because otherwise, you got to keep in mind, you've got peers of ours that are going to be looking at it and learning from us with the understanding that, these guys are helping to pave the way by educating these clients, right? To understand exactly what this all means. It's not all about pricing. Are you going to get the account? Probably not, but at least you got that little thought process going within their minds to understand that, well, you know what? That was a turnover issue I've been having the last 5 years. Maybe Saul, Ricky, Juan and Mark are right. Or, or the other guys that are coming up, in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the mentality we all need to start taking as well, too, is that let's start educating this industry, because the industry has been, you guys know, man, it's been plagued with a lot of undercutting, a lot of cheap labor, a lot of craziness out there where people feel like that's okay to do.
Yeah.
That's just,
For sure.
what I see
I
out there a
mean,
lot.
another thing is people got to be comfortable with asking questions, like the hard questions. Real simple. Like what were the last? What are you guys hiring laborers for? $17 an hour.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but you want me to come in and do it at 12, right? So you got a sign
That's a
on
good
your
point.
front lawn, man.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you guys are hiring for 17, you're looking to cut me down, and the other thing is when you get into square footage situations where like you're in small square footage situations, a lot of times I ask people, I'll be like, how many square feet is your house? Like 2,000 square feet? Yeah. Go tell your wife to clean it in an hour.
Yeah. Good luck.
Let me know how that works out.
Good luck.
Well, because you'll get a lot of people that think they know more than you, but if you make them see the aha moment, if you like,
Don't
like you
enable.
said,
Don't enable them.
ask the right questions and just let them answer.
You're the expert, man.
So now let's because you guys were talking about the entry level technicians that we have, the beginning stages of people that start in our company. Now let's talk about the high caliber employees. The employees that stand out, right? I just had an employee down the street working at a Cushman Wakefield building. He's a great employee. We love him. We take care of him. He's been with us for 5 years. They gave him a service recognition award, right? So he was in the second page of the magazine for the property management industry, right? Where I am keeping him happy as much as I can, but what can we talk about as far as what are things that you guys are doing to take care of those all-stars, like the all-star employees that you start to see, like they started cleaning, they help with scheduling, they go on walkthroughs, they know supply inventory. Like what, other than a title, what are things that we can do?
So, honestly, I think one of the benefits of growing at a decent clip is you create manager roles, you create assistant roles, you create so on and so forth, right? And so, honestly, sometimes it's hard to pull a good employee away from the account because we're like, wow, they're not going to be happy if I pull away a good employee.
That's my situation. This guy doesn't
Right.
want to leave that account.
But what the reality is, it shouldn't be dependent on the employee. It should be dependent on your systems and your training. You should be able to get another employee and train them pretty close to perform to the same level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you should be able to take that employee and promote them, right? Because otherwise you don't have a sustainable model and you can't really scale,
Okay.
right? So I guess that's the way I try to think about it. Because the reality is if you don't, then you're almost penalizing the employee for doing such a good job because now he's stuck,
He's stuck at an account.
right? Which is, it really doesn't make sense.
I mean, being able to replace yourself is the number one way to grow.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
the number one. I mean,
It should be a compliment.
Right.
we're at a point right now where we had to do this, so I just hired a vice president for our company, and I can't wait because he's, they always say if you're the smartest person in your company, then you're in trouble.
Right.
Well, this guy is on point, and we're talking C-level employees versus cleaning technician employees and all-stars, and I think at that level, and no matter who you're dealing with, you have to do what you're going to say you're going to do, number one. Number two, money talks, BS walks, right? Okay? And number three, the recognition does go a long way, okay? If you're going to promote somebody in pay, but not give them the authority to be a manager and to make managerial changes and empower that person to make the hires, to make the fires, to do the to have all those responsibilities, you're going to kind of deflate the promotion per se.
That's a great point, man.
So-
Because then they feel like, why am I? Why did I get promoted, or why did I get this new title if I have no authorities? Not that it could. People have different personalities. People operate differently, but if they feel they have no authority, then it's like, well why?
They may be getting the money, but if they are looking for interpersonal growth, there's nothing less deflating than paying them the money and having the role stay the same.
Yeah.
And that's something that we had to learn because, coming from a family business, it's tough to get the one person that has built the whole thing to be able to let go a little bit and give the power to someone else to be able to, be in authority in the company.
Family business is a whole other episode.
Empowering is huge. I think, as a small business owner, you started, you want to empower people and let them do what they want to do, but you're always keeping your hand in that jar for some reason, right? So the one thing I've taught myself and just kind of keep training myself to do is always asking them, what would you do for the situation, right? Because 90% of the time, I guarantee it's going to be the same answer I'm going to give you. So a lot of the guys, a lot of the girls now, everybody is now starting to think on their own. So we always talk about think independently, right? What would you do?
Yeah.
It's okay if you fail, it's fine. Learn from it and move on. So for us, definitely empowering and giving people the opportunity, because at the end of the day, again, I go back to this whole blue collar environment, blue collar solution. People that come walking through that door they've never been given opportunities.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest, right? And so it's our job to understand them, where they're coming from, be patient, but also making sure that they're here for the long term. And also, what's your vision? What's your mission? What exactly is the purpose of your company out here? Because it's not here just to clean, right? So as long as you portray that in what your company is doing, everybody will fall on board. Last year for us, we were trying to scale a little more aggressively. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
The company learned a lot. We were trying to go a little too top heavy, but as they always say, get better before you get bigger. And by getting better is by empowering your employees, investing in the training of your employees, exactly, processes, systems, and making sure that everybody's set up for success.
Yeah, that's another good segue, right? Because I want to talk about culture, but the empowerment part, that's something that it sits big with me. I have a lot of family that works in my business, right? But when you let somebody own something, like the question, right? We all said, if you ask the employee, what would you do? Like you said, they're like, what? You're asking me? Yeah. Like, here, let's put this on the whiteboard. Let's whiteboard this session and talk about what would you do in this position to help the company. They start to feel ownership. That's getting into culture now, right? I want to talk about everybody's culture. For me, is giving people roles and responsibilities that own their department or own that skill set that they're in charge of. I've got a floor department. I've got a post-construction department. These guys operate cohesively on their own. I may step in every couple weeks just to say, hey, what's going on? Are we doing good? It looks like we're doing good. Numbers look good.
Yeah.
But they own it. They sit there. They do their own 10, 15-minute powwows. They have an agenda. They send the agenda to us in an email. It's amazing, actually, to let them kind of spread their wings and say, and this is one thing, I don't know if you guys do this too, but I tell them, if shit hit the fan and the janitorial department fell apart and closed, could your department, does it have legs? Could you guys operate on your own? Well, they're confident. They're like, yeah, we need you, Rick. We need support, but we got it. We could actually keep going on our own. So I feel like that's now leading into culture is, what are you guys doing differently? Or what are you guys doing to improve your culture? I see a lot, Saul, you're doing awesome on social media. Juan, I know you're doing a lot of the digital videos. Mark doesn't like social media, so I don't know what he's doing.
Honestly,
Let's get the program, man. Let's go.
This guy's got 1 million square foot schools to take care of.
Right?
Well, let's talk about culture of the company. What are we all doing? Not that we have to be doing different things, but what are we doing?
Sure.
What's everybody doing?
Well, for us, it's, again, being on the smaller side, so we have to get it right now, right? Being a smaller firm under 30 people, but for us now is we always say we're cleaning that cares, right? And the one thing that we do in-house now, and I'm really hunkering down and really pushing, is you have to care. You have to communicate with each other, right? It's very important. You got to hold each other accountable. right? Because you're not going to have a set of eyes behind you at all times to see what you're doing, what your quality is like. You got to be reliable. Rely on each other, help each other out, and at the end, strive for excellence. So it stands for care, and we always say you got to care, because it's not so much just in business, but that's life. And so when you start digging in deep and you start telling people and talking to people in that route, they really start honing in and saying,
Number two. No, it's 2 times. He said route. 2 times.
route.
Good old commercial.
Good old route. So once you dig deep and you start building that, because it's what you just said. It's people over profit, and you got to hone in on that. And that includes us as business owners. What are we doing? Let's look at ourselves. Are we out there actually pushing it? Are we portraying ourselves to be that, or are we just saying it?
Yeah.
So, for me as a smaller company, it might be a little easier. I'm sure it's a little harder for you guys. A couple hundred people out there, but that's exactly what we're trying to do. And I'm probably speaking more of those guys that are up and coming. Is that build that now, build it strong, because those guys are going to be basically the tentacles, right? It's going to be spreading, and once it spreads, the minute a person comes in that doesn't stand for that, I'm not the one making the decision to let them go. It's our own staff.
Yeah.
So that's really what we're doing. We're pushing, and that's what we're focusing on right now.
It's so important. It's so important to have, whether you're a big company or a small company, you should, even if you're a big company, you should live with a small company mentality. Everyone matters. That comes to your customers, that comes to your employees, that comes to everyone, your vendors, everyone. Make a friend, make a sale, right? How many people can we help every day? We're not here to clean toilets. We're here to provide a solution that otherwise someone would have to go fulfill themselves, which they don't want to do.
Yeah.
They just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, we're in a recession-proof. Close to recession-proof.
No,
industry.
it's recession.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
really
Close
is.
to. I mean, like I said, if you worry about creating a solid business, the rest will come.
Juan, what do you got going?
That's so true. It's going back to culture. One of the issues, it's a good thing, but sometimes it's a little bit of an issue, is when I bring on a new employee and, let's say you have 5 people in that building, you've got 4 rock stars and you put someone else in, and that person's just not putting in the effort, or sometimes in chatter they'll say, I'm just here for my paycheck.
Yeah.
It's the worst line.
So the thing is,
How much do you guys pay?
right.
I don't even know
So,
you.
so my other employees or supervisors will say, hey, you know what, this person, we can't have them. But, and I understand it completely, and so I have to take action at that point, right? So the culture maintains a certain level of standard, certain standard, right? And that's important because, they're also worried about their jobs, because they understand that if we lose the building, they all lose their jobs, So culture is very important, having set standards, But again, it already goes back to having everything standardized so everyone understands what they're supposed to be doing, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was, going back to the videos, is one of the reasons why I created them, because I realized that one supervisor was training with a different standard, the other one had different methods, and so at least now we're all working cohesively.
And when it comes to employees, whether you have 10, 15, 100, 200, our systems today are so good that we can keep track of all this information. It matters. It matters that what is it to a company that's doing, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 15, 20 million, to reach out to, let's say 5, 10 employees in a month and say, happy birthday, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Here's a $10 gift card for Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yeah.
Or even think about this. When was the last time you went on a bid or you put a proposal together and you didn't win, but you still sent the customer a handwritten note?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
There might have been 5 bidders there. You might have lost. But if things go south, who do you think they're going to remember?
Yeah. No, and I mean, touching on the saying happy birthday, saying thank you, right? So we try to do that all the time. But one thing we actually did this year is I hired a chief people officer, right? So I took a page right out of
Chief Heart Officer.
took a page out of the technology company and the industry and the trend of where they're going, where this guy's sole responsibility is to get out there at 8 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 6 in the morning, arrive with donuts, say thank you, bring them a piece of, so not just, we have area managers and supervisors that show up at night,
Yeah.
but this guy's sole job is to let them know and remind them, we don't see you in the office, we don't see you all the time, we remember you, we recognize you, this is a tough job that you're doing. So this guy, when I hired him too, he was like, well, Rick, I'm a recruiter, I'm HR, but I'm like, trust me, this is going to go a long way, because as much as, me as a company too, I think I have a great culture, I have a great office, I still got employees that they're frustrated. They don't come to the office, so they don't get to see reap the benefits from that, and it's like, oh, you forgot about me.
That's
like,
huge,
oh man, you're trying to do so much.
As you
but it's
grow,
not.
it just gets so hard.
Hey, it's
I mean,
hard,
it
yeah.
just gets, and there's always going to be people that, people that feel like they're getting left out.
I mean, it's inevitable to the point where if you're in the hundreds, 2, 3, 4, 500.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
gonna happen.
these things are going to happen, but as long as you're showing effort, I feel like that's the point, is show some effort.
But, going back to empowerment, so one of the things I actually did recently is, so every month I give supervisors $100 a month. I give them $250s. So every month they have to select 2 people, that have their building in top shape, or their areas in top
So you're
shape.
giving them money for that.
And they
Yeah.
reward them directly.
Okay.
So I don't even do that.
So it's not even from
because
you,
at
it's
the end of the
coming from
day,
them.
I'm not
That's
on
cool
the field.
though. That's cool though.
that
That
is
it's
a
coming
great-
like
yeah.
It's better
I don't
from
know.
them,
And it's
though,
better,
'cause then
yeah.
they're going to,
You talk about
They
empowerment,
respect
that's
direct
solid.
management.
Yeah.
Right.
That's above that. I mean,
like
that's
that, actually.
that's really cool.
really
All right,
good.
take a
That's
note.
really good. I know, right?
Right,
Let's write that down.
I took that from the mob movies, they walk around with money, and
Salute.
it's like, here you
So
go,
that one,
here
man,
you
that
go.
That's a good one.
It seems
good
to
one,
work for them,
That's a
so.
good one. I like
All right, so on the laughing side, I wanted to end with this note, is everybody definitely has some funny stories. Tell me about a time that you were in the field that you guys said, what the hell did I get myself into? What the hell why did I do the cleaning industry? What's some good stories from you guys in the field?
You know what? I got a few, but I'm gonna cut it real quick. Is that, when I first started, obviously for me is I pretty much invested everything that I had into this business. I didn't have any backup money. I had nothing. I had no clue about cleaning.
I still
I'm with you. And so, the craziest things that I always saw was just, I would throw up the shit, the crap, especially at bars, right?
Yeah.
Nighttime clubs, whatever. But this is the funny part to it, is that, all right, I'm like, oh man, this is crazy, but we got to do it. We got to do it. I went, and because we're having a new QC person that's going to take over all of our training. So she's like, I need you to meet me here at 5 in the morning, and we're going to get the techniques down. I said, okay, perfect, let's go. Dude, what's the first thing I see, man? Is shit with an underwear in a toilet. And I look at it, I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I'm like,
Get that
I'm
training
back
done.
at this again? But luckily, Isabel's great. She just went out and she's like, don't worry, Saul, here's the technique. And dude, that technique, honestly, took her 10 seconds compared to my 30 minutes
Yeah.
when I did that, 5 years ago, which is kind of crazy and sick. And so that's why, Isabel, thank you so much. You are
Rock star.
you are a rock star.
Yeah.
She's going to really be pulling all the great training for us. So anyway, my story is just, it's funny that it's never going to stop. It's always going to be there.
I think it's just the comedy of the day to day, man. No matter how long you do this, there's always something that amazes you. Like just yesterday, my GM sent me a picture. It was like 7:00, and this account that we clean, okay, someone decided that they were going to use the bathroom in a special way. And
See, it's always these bathrooms, man.
basically, she
I'm not gonna tell you
sends
my
me
bathroom
sends me a picture of these people, and they're dressed up like they're Martians, like in spacesuits. I'm like, what happened in the bathroom? Like, what happened? But I mean, I think we could all share our fair share of stories like that. One that sticks out for me is just our mechanic. Our mechanic is just, he's been with us for 22 years.
That's awesome.
And he's kind of a rough dude,
That's awesome.
Yeah. you know, he's helped me move my house a couple times. I've had to patch some walls. But just recently, like, we had to deliver a machine because this particular company had they had a customer event going on. Well, he's not in tune with the fact that they have a customer event. So he takes this 32-inch walk behind and he goes up this ADA ramp because the dock height didn't match up with our truck. So here he is going to this all glass building, trying to open the doors. There's customers all over this building. So the facility manager comes out and is like, no. You know, he's halfway in the door with this 32-inch walk behind, you know, ready to walk it right through the lobby. Just clueless, man. But, you know, there's so many things that come to mind for this topic.
Yeah. Juan, what do you got?
Oh wow, there's endless stories, but I think the most interesting one was we're at nighttime. The supervisor calls me and, hey, you know, there was 2 employees of the company and they were in an X-rated act, so you know they got scared and they took off. But now I'm cleaning the office that they were in, and you know there's cocaine on the damn desk. Like,
wow,
what do I do?
That's a story, dude.
What do I do? So
Story.
I'm like, I don't know, like can't call cops, right? You know, like I don't want to
Get the client in
get
trouble.
the client in trouble. So I call a facility manager, and he's like, he's pissed that I'm calling him. You know, but it's kind of a delicate matter, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and he's like, well, can't you vacuum it up? I'm like, all right, here we go.
Oh, vacuum it out.
So that's what we did. I mean, we vacuumed it up and
With a vacuum.
with a vacuum.
Exactly.
With a vacuum and
Yeah.
threw it in a trash bag and out in garbage. You know, because she's like, well, I don't want to take this trash bag with me. I was like, no, throw it in the garbage because she's like, but yeah. Anyway, so there's all kinds of stories. You know.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
endless stories.
That commercial account with the rats like dogs, that's a true story for
Oh,
sure.
I can imagine.
I mean, you kick the barrels. I mean, it's the middle. They're as big as dogs. I mean, and I just had a meeting with these people recently, and I told this new facility, she's the plant manager. I was like, "You been here at night before?" She's like, "No."
Of course not.
I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, maybe we should show you one night what we're dealing with," because they're like, you know, talking
They
about.
probably have the little traps.
You need a cage. You need a cage.
You know, yeah.
Rick, what's the story for you?
Man, I got a lot. I've talked about many, but I'd say one that could be probably relevant to a lot of, newcomers or up and coming. Me and my cousin, our first year of business, strip and wax shops. I'm sure all you guys have done. I did saw some pictures.
You told me about this.
Dude, so I talk about this because it's a classic. It's a classic story for me where, we bid this job. I think I know what I'm doing because I looked on YouTube and I looked at, the tips on how to price. And my cousin's all like, "Yeah, Rick, dude, we got a new machine. We're good." They say the machine could do the job for you. I'm like, all right. So we bid this job at like $680, I think. And it's like 3,000 square feet. And it's an overnight, but it's a 24-hour facility. And I don't know what stripper is. I don't know I didn't know you're supposed to do
What kind
stripper,
of shoes
right?
did you have on?
I had gym shoes on.
Oh,
Dude,
wow.
So I had gym shoes. Like, we got the floor scrubber. We got what I thought was a wet vac, but it was not a wet vac. and then we have the stripper solution, and then we have the wax. And then we have a brand new square scrub. This thing's like, it's shiny. So then Tony goes up to the top. I'm like, all right, I got the bathrooms, you got the top. And he just keeps going. And I'm like, dude, Tony, from the YouTube video, you're supposed to do like one over. Like, he keeps going. He keeps. And I go up and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, Rick, it just there's film. There's just film everywhere.
Oh,
so he keeps going, and I'm down here. He comes down because we're just, he's judging me. I'm judging him. I'm better than him. He's better than me. He bought that machine. I bought this one. I'm at the bottom, and he's like, Rick, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm just, I'm throwing the liquid everywhere. Just throwing the chemical.
Stripper?
There you go.
And he's like, Rick, it's all stripper. He's like, you're supposed to dilute it. Dude, the tile turned white.
Boom.
White. So then I'm like, oh shit, all right, cool. So I start stripping it. The entire outer layer was white, like gone. There's no this was a brown tile. So it's gone. A brown tile. Up on top, whatever. Whatever happened up top. But just so you guys know, we bid this job for 8 hours.
It's
We
$680.
were there for 38
Yeah,
hours.
oh, yeah. 2 days. man.
2 days.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And the client came in like, great job. This thing looks fantastic. It's because we put 9 coats of wax on that thing. It was the shiniest floor they ever seen in their life.
You literally.
I
took
paid them for 3 years of
That's
wax.
exactly what I was
3
just
years
gonna
of
go.
wax job.
You literally said, "I'm gonna lose money to make money later."
Yeah, dude.
Exactly.
They were like, this is the best looking floor we
That's
ever had.
awesome.
And me and Tony were like, all right. So they
So that price is good, right?
do not price that job. 3,000 square feet, 680. No, not happening. But I got so many more. But at that point, I think we've talked enough, right? I think we had some good
Great job.
good conversations here.
Oh yeah.
For our first talk, I think we wanted to keep it real. We wanted to keep it, this is storytelling time, right? This is what the industry is about. Is collaboration. You could, people could call us competitors because we're all in the same market, but these guys are my friends. These guys are colleagues. This is what we need to do for the industry, not just for us, but for customers and clients to know this is a trade. What we do for commercial cleaning is a trade. We're not demanding respect, but we have to say, let's put ourselves in a situation to earn our clients' respect by the way we conduct ourselves, and the way we take this serious, right? I mean, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you guys being a part of this. This is only the first of many to come, but yeah, I appreciate you guys being here, man.
Cheers.
Cheers to clean and cocktails.
man.
Yeah,
Cleaning and
cleaning and
cocktails.
cocktails.
Salud.
Yes.